I found him. We might have okay. I think the audio is still going to be off, but now
Okay.
the audio should be working.
Okay, perfect.
I we found him, guys.
In the deep snow of Canadian winter.
He was buried under snow. We found him. Okay.
There we go.
Um,
We're in.
so where were we? You
Uh,
were under a pile of snow. I
yes.
was looking fiercely for you, but yeah, we were talking about structure, right?
Right. Yeah. So what is the structure here now?
Yeah.
So, because I haven't heard the structure yet, so I'm
Yep.
definitely curious about that.
So typical nightly series, we have the every 10 minutes the blinds go up. Um, Generally speaking, pretty slow, but also the blind levels do go up quickly. Meaning like it goes from what like 1530 to 30 or 2040 3060 like pretty quickly in those
Hmm.
senses. So we had to follow that with the PokerStar structure, so that's intact. It's the same 10 minutes, but we started a little bit deeper with 5,000 chips. The idea being we're kind of aiming for like an hour of gameplay
Hmm.
in this heads up match. Give a little bit of time to it because the nuance of heads up play is it can be over at any second. We could
Even
play a
deep.
single hand, and especially with some of these people, and I know these people, aggressive play can
Yeah.
kind of go quickly. So we're
Hmm.
going to be talking like 160 big blinds deep at the start, but it's going to quickly shrink to 100, 60, 50, 40, and as soon as you start hitting those structures, like
Mm.
uh, the tournament could be over at any point because you're not always going to be even stacks. Someone's going to be winning, someone's going to be losing, and that just lowers that effective stack size and gets a little bit closer to those all ins. So
Definitely.
um, we'll see how long the matches go. But in terms of predictions, we gave you a ton of time with all the very different things that we had go wrong. So
Just about everything that could.
yeah, we found a bunch of different ways, and we did get a few more predictions in that time frame. So I'm glad,
Awesome. That's great.
but I'm gonna be sad to say if you are in here, you're just tuning in. I am gonna be closing off those responses because what we're gonna move into now is just let's talk about what some people predicted because that's what everyone's curious about. Who did everyone
Yeah,
predict to
that's
win?
where it is. That's the action right there.
Boom, closed.
There we go.
So, let's get into it. So, we had a wide variety of answers here, and there's a couple things that I noticed when I was going through this and kind of looking at some of the answers. And the last few that came in really didn't change this, but there's some predicted close matchups and some predicted not close matchups.
Hmm.
And I was kind of expecting it to be pretty evenly split because we're talking, a quick heads up match. Anything can happen. You get someone
Small
coolered,
sample. Hmm.
anything can happen. But in terms of winner picks, I was surprised by the winner picks. And the thing that I noticed is we have two sides of the brackets. We have a left side of the bracket and we have a right side of the bracket. And it's very clear one of those sides was way heavily favored by everyone's predictions. And it was that left side of the bracket.
Wow. Interesting.
So
Okay.
we get to watch the left side of the bracket today, and we've got a total of. Let me do the quick math here because these just came in. Over 75% of the winner picks will be playing out tonight.
Wow. So overall winners.
Of the overall, who will be the MaREC Madness champion? Over
Wow. That's
75% of the
huge.
predictions
That's
are playing
huge.
tonight.
Whoa.
And
That's awesome.
not to diminish the old like hey save the best for last type of thing, but our first matchup we have over 50% of the predictions in between our first matchup between Chris 5x5 Jones and Chad McVean. I don't know what drove this high rate, because 50% between these two people is crazy, knowing that they have to play each other right away. But my guess is that there was a little bit of social media influence, because our overall number one predicted player to win it all is Chad McVean, our social media manager.
Wow.
Everyone is on the McVean board.
That's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
No idea what you guys in chat are thinking, but how many of you picked Chad? Everyone was picking Chad. A third of the predictions came back with Chad McVean as our champion.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's on board. Hey, chat, Wiener, McVean equals Polk. Maybe he is. I mean, we're talking about a matchup that we're going to watch first, which we should be able to get to in about 5-10 minutes or so. But that's going to break a lot of brackets. One, it's gonna make half the people happy, and it's gonna make half the people sad. We're gonna have a lot of bracket busters.
So this match, first off, is probably the biggest match that everyone's looking to see, because most of the picks were associated with this first matchup. So this is huge. It's
gonna be huge. Yeah. I mean, there's the next most important matchup after this is most likely gonna be the championship game. We're starting off big right away up front. But not to diminish some of the other picks. So McVean was our number one. Number two was a tie between Chris 5x5 Jones and John PokerGeekMN Somsky. They both came in tied for the second most guesses. So a lot of predictions there as well. And then fourth, yours truly. I made not the podium, but at least an honorable mention. Getting just under 17% of the predictions coming in there. So
nice.
Really interesting going on there. In terms of the first matchup, what are you thinking, Ben?
Well, I was thinking it was going to be pretty close, this first one. But I do have some thoughts on how they play for sure, because I haven't really played much with Chris, but I've played with Chad a fair amount. But I know Chris is like very aggressive, and Chris can put a lot of pressure on his opponents. I see him 3 and 4 betting a lot, really getting involved, putting a lot of chips in the pot and stuff. So I haven't really seen that from Chad. So I'm interested to see, because I think it would be interesting to see if Chad adjusts to a more aggressive style heads up, or if he's going to maybe play like a more small ball approach. That's more what I'm kind of curious to see. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's kind of what I was thinking anyways. So
Yeah, I totally agree with this. This feels like a battle of not like differing, right versus wrong, but differing styles of play. I played more with Chris than I have Chad, and Chris loves to put chips in the pot, and it's not always the 3 bets 4 bets too. It's always bigger bet sizing too. A lot of people stick to like that half pot size. Chris, give him the right opportunity, he's going to go 80% pot. There are a lot of opportunities he'll take it, and he'll go really small too. So he'll go, in those spots where he should be very kind of ahead range wise, he'll go really small and like really just like be like, come on, throw in an extra 2 big blinds. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot of that. And McVean, to me, and I might be wrong on this, seems like, middle of the road kind of guy. Like, I'm just going to like not make too many mistakes. So we'll have to see what happens here. Can Chris force a mistake without making a mistake himself? And can McVean kind of stay back and not make a mistake and wait for Chris to make a mistake? I think that's what this is going to come down to.
No, I agree with that for sure. That's a really good way to look at it, and that's kind of what my thoughts were going in as well. So that's really good that we're on the same page here. The people in the booth are on the same page. It's always good.
So, before we get to the matchup, let's get the guess from you, Ben. Who do you have winning?
Well, I got to go with my Canadian friend, Mr. McVean, because, like I say, I played with him a lot, and I know he pops into my stream every once in a while, so I got to give my Canadian friend some love and put my money on Chad here. So
yeah, going with the popular pick, the number one picked tournament champion with McVean. I'm going with Chris. I played with him a lot. I think style-wise, this might work out a little bit better for him. Plus, I got to go USA side. We have one American, one Canadian in the booth. I'm going USA. You're going Canada. And in terms of what does Rec Poker Nation think, as much as I said that 33% of people have McVean winning it, in pure 1v1, Rec Poker Nation actually picked Chris 5x5 Jones. So 60% of the people predicted Chris to win this matchup, which means 40% picked McVean. And then of that 40%, 33% had him go on to win the championship.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
So we're going to have some confrontation here, and it should be fun. And we're about to get started on that. Looks like stuff is about to get ready, but just a few more minutes here. So we'll be kicking it over there shortly, but while we wait, Twitch chat, who do you have winning? Let's see whose guesses are out there. Who is everyone cheering for? We got Rich cheering on Jonesy, going for the 5x5. Steve saying, I wonder if anyone picked me, saying I'm the worst of the 8. Steve is not the worst of the 8. But I honestly expected more predictions for Steve just due to he's got the podcast pull, you know? He's the host, he's the guy. But we did have some Steve picks, but he was towards the bottom in terms of picks. Like we went over the top 4 previously, but
he could be a kind of a dark horse though, and you know, I know he's been working with Fareed in the Fareed Jat course and stuff like that. So I don't know if they've gotten to any heads up situations or anything like that quite yet in the course, because I haven't taken the Fareed course, but
not covering heads up in there, but Steve did win heads up last night. He won the monthly series, so he's talking it up like he's the worst of the 8. But guess who just won the monthly No Limit Hold'em series last night? That was him. So very interesting. Looks like we are ready to go. Yeah, we've got it going. I got to get your audio working, so just 1 second. But give me a little test audio to make sure it's working.
Oh, test.
Yeah. You're good. All right. We're live. We've got the matchup, so let's see it play out. We've got McVean versus Chris 5x5 Jones, and pure Chris fashion gets pocket 8s.
Wow, right off the bat. And this is a pretty good hand, heads up for Mr. McVean as well. 7-9 offsuit in position.
Yeah,
pretty reasonable hand.
I think you're going to be a little bit behind me just due to what we had to do with our setup here. So you're going to be a little bit behind me, but McVean flops top pair and really puts pocket 8s in a rough spot. And now we get here and, you know, not too much confrontation going on, and a river of 8 of hearts really putting the nail in the coffin for Chris Jones here. And
that is not a good river.
Not a good river, and he goes with the big sizing.
Wow.
So just what I was thinking.
This is the big sizing, the big sizing, just like we were talking about before the match, and where he can put in a lot of chips.
McVean makes the call. I can't blame him for making the call there with the 7-9. With that big river bet, it looks bluffy. Like, you get to this river, he puts those he essentially drills a set there on the river. He's making a bet saying, hey, everything just changed and now I've got a great hand, or I'm bluffing. So he's really kind of looking at like a 7-10 type of thing for a straight.
I was thinking 10-7, yeah.
Or exactly like pocket 8s, and he gets paid off because he had one of those few hands.
That is an absolute monster of a first hand though to start out with. Pocket 8s versus 9-7 offsuit, flops top pair, and then rivers it. That's quite a way to start.
Yeah, and I mean, lucky for McVean, right? Like, we're talking hand 1, level 1. He lost just under 20 big blinds or something like that. Every other stage of the tournament, that's just detrimental. You're pretty much done for if you lose 20 big blinds. But starting deep enough, it looks like he's all right.
Yeah. So we got the Jack 10 hand here. It looks like he just called. Looked like McVean called there, I think.
Yeah, and we've got a pile of nothing going on.
Going for a continuation bet.
Yeah. I mean, I can't blame him 5x5 for making that continuation bet. Like, you're on the button. Can't blame McVean. He's got 2 overs and a gut shot straight draw.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems very... And then we go check, and then river, McVean makes a bet and takes it down. So pretty standard there.
Yep.
What I am concerned about was the sizing that McVean had on the river here. He went really small. He made a good hand, but just went really small with his bet sizing, and
maybe trying to get value from 9x or 7x that
yeah,
Chad might have. But it's going to be hard for 5x5 to find a call there on that run out with
yeah, I mean,
with some of the smaller pairs.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, his exact hand was never making a call there, but
yeah,
I think you got to size up there if you're McVean. You kind of make second pair there on the river. Go for a little bit more value.
Yeah, like something. I think like over 60%. Maybe that's a little bit too ambitious, but you could even maybe do like, I don't know, slightly over half pot maybe.
Yeah, that seems about the right sizing.
And like you say, it is a little bit different for us because we get to see all the cards, and it's it's a little bit easier for us to say, well, he should have sized up there on the river. Oh, he should have folded. Why didn't he fold?
We're gonna have that all night long, and that's what makes this part so great. We can, hindsight is 20/20. This whole thing.
Exactly. The 7 deuce.
Yeah, this is just an interesting hand in terms of playing it, right? Like Chris decided to open
monotone
7-4.
board.
McVean, coming along with 7 deuce offsuit. This is exactly what you were talking about, Ben.
Yeah,
we're seeing a bunch of VPIPs, people playing hands.
This is the wide ranges that makes heads up no limit really, really difficult and very challenging.
Yeah, and we're in a spot here. Like yeah, this next hand, McVean's got 9-3 offsuit, deciding to open it up. Chris 5x5 Jones, he's got Jack 5, and he's calling from the big blind.
Calling.
We're not seeing many of these in normal play, but heads up, kind of forced into it. Personally, I think I just open fold the 9-3 offsuit here and just not play the hand.
I think when you're so deep like we are in this structure, I think you can afford to let some of those buttons go, just because early you're gonna have a fair amount of room to kind of play around with a little bit, and you don't want to be in there with complete air. I guess unless Chris is gonna play back a fair amount, so it's gonna be and like we were saying, he likes to put in big bets and stuff. So
yeah, and I think part of it is just like choosing the right hands to go to war with, right? Like we're constantly going to war. You're gonna have to be somewhat selective and kind of get rid of the bottom part of it. So
yeah,
that's how I'm kind of viewing this thing. But like here we've got Queen 10 suited versus Jack 10. Like that's definitely a hand worth playing. And really interesting how this one played out because Chris hit the top pair. Turn came an ace, kind of scary for both of them. McVean still having kind of a gut shot draw. Then after Chris makes a bet, he just kind of McVean just gets out of there, which I can't blame him for. He's out of position, really just drawing to a king. But in heads up, he's got to also think that the queen might be good too. So
limping in with the 5 deuce here. Air ball. These are the ones where who wants it more? Who wants these small pots more early?
Yep. And honestly, I think like the small pots early, you like don't get too hung up on them. Like small pots later, a big thing. Small pots now, not so much. Like we talked about, we had a big hand right away. Hand 1, 8s versus 9-7, and McVean's really not in that bad of a spot. He lost 10% of his stack. That's it.
Not really seeing too much 3-betting from these guys here. I was kind of expecting to see a little bit more, but I think Chad's definitely going with more of like a calling line, I think.
Yeah, and even on this King 9 hand that we just saw here, like he kind of went check on the flop there, and then he kind of got the green light to go on the turn, and he did go, but he bet pretty small too. He bet like a third pot. Being out of position, not the way I would approach it personally. I'd want to go a little bit bigger when I'm out of position, but
I guess you're not really super excited to get raised. Eight deuce.
Yeah. So
Turn's a deuce.
turn is a deuce, and that's good for McVean. He's got like a hand he can now call down with.
Call it down with, yeah. I wonder if Chad or if Chris puts out a big bet on the river there. I kind of would have liked to see him take a stab there. Once he bets the turn, but it's hard because you're not going to be getting folds from.
Yeah, you're about to see this, but we've got a pretty decent hand coming up here too. Chris open button with Jack 7, flops Jack high, but McVean flops bottom pair. So top versus bottom pair, and McVean rivers a second pair and takes it down. I think he could have got a little bit more there. I think he potentially missed out on some value, especially given Chris's exact holding. But we're kind of seeing, like I was talking about before, the Chad taking that middle of the road line, not trying to make too many mistakes, but does win a small pot. We're pretty much back to even now, so there's going to be this constant jockeying going on between what is everyone's chip stack size and how much pressure can you put on someone else. You're always going to have that like 5,000 chip mark in mind because you know that's where it's even. You don't want to go too low. You go below 4,000, you start feeling the pressure. Go below 3,000, you're feeling a ton of pressure.
Especially when those blinds go up, like we were saying at the start with the structures and stuff. It's just going to move so fast that you get, you start to see that chip stack start to slide down. You can start getting a little bit nervous, and you might want to start putting more chips in the pot and then maybe that's where Chris could catch McVean in a spot, maybe, but or vice versa even.
Yeah, and I mean the other side of it too. You start building a chip lead. Now you can go a little bit more aggressive. If it's 6,500 to 3,500. Now guess what? If you're wrong, like it's not too bad. If you lose, medium sized pot, you're still got the chip lead. So putting a lot of pressure on. And all right, we see McVean.
This queen jack,
McVean temporarily going to be taking the chip lead. Unfortunately, it looks like you're like a good few seconds behind me.
Yeah, I'm definitely a few seconds behind, but
which makes it tough. But what we have to do with your internet to make sure that your internet doesn't get too bogged down. But McVean just took the chip lead. Now we're in a hand that I think is really interesting. We flop a monotone board, all clubs, and it gets even more interesting. McVean defended with the queen of clubs. Chris has got the 5 of clubs, and we've got all clubs on the board. McVean goes for an overbet on the river. I love to see it. I love the overbet here. It's really putting Chris in a tough spot, saying, I've either got a club or nothing. What do you have? And Chris does have a club. He's going to have a tough decision here, I think.
Wow.
Just because of how polarized this bet is. I love to see it out of McVean. I wouldn't pick any other sizing, and unfortunately for McVean, Chris made the right decision and folded here. But
317 into 288.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. I like going just over pot there. Like
it's good sizing.
You've got one of two things. You've got a club and probably a pretty good club when you make that bet, or you've got nothing and you're just trying to buy it because it's really tough to make that call without a club.
Yeah, definitely. And he's only losing to the king of clubs, so he's really looking to get value from all those other worse clubs that might give you some value on the river there. So I really like that.
Yeah, because if you're Chris there and you've got the 10 of clubs, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I think you got a call.
I think you do. Yeah. I mean, what do you? So I guess I don't want to get too caught up because we could talk about every hand for a while. But how high up do you think on the club list would you go to an overbet there? Like, would you fold the 7 and call the 8, or would you
it's tough. I think it's probably around that like 10 point.
Yeah.
But like even any club is like a bluff catcher, right?
Yeah.
Because the higher up it is, the more kind of like blockers you have to knowing that your opponent doesn't have this exact card in their hand. But really any club could be good to bluff catch. And we've got a pretty sizable pot growing here too. 7-8 off on the button for McVean, and then Ace-5 with Chris defending. We flop top pair for Chris, middle pair for McVean. We get a little bit of slowdown on the turn here. I expect Chris to lead out this river. He's got top pair. I expect him to try and go for some value. And he goes for really thin value. Wow, he goes 20% pot? Oh, and he enticed the perfect thing. McVean goes for the raise.
Oh no.
I can't imagine Chris folding here. Especially when he goes,
it.
Especially when he goes so small.
Did he let it go?
He got the fold out of Chris.
Really?
Holy smokes. Oh, okay. Hand
Wow.
number one where I am surprised. Wow. One heck of a raise by McVean there. I don't think he knew he was bluffing.
Wow.
But he was bluffing. And
that is such a small raise to make by Chad there. I'm surprised. Is he turning his pair of eights into a bluff there on the river?
I don't think he thought he was. That would be my guess. Is that when he sees Chris leading out into him, he's got to be like, this is just like a blocker bet or something, and he's just like, well, I could beat what I think this range is, and
wow.
He couldn't, and he got the fold. Oh wow, what a hand!
Yeah,
love to see it.
That was great. I mean, I guess you're not really super thrilled to see a raise there with ace-5, and that's kind of the problem with going with a small bet there on the river. But
yeah, but like you were talking about, like the sizing, like ultimately his raise would have been the same as if he would bet 60% pot on the river. So when you think about the action in front of him and then his raise, it's almost like a 40% pot bet. And I was really surprised to see it. But not to get too caught up here, we've got a top pair versus top pair, or at least flop top pair versus flop top pair. And it's not going to work out for McVean, it doesn't look like. He led river really small. We're seeing some of these really small sizings.
Really small.
For 10% pot on the river here. And Chris now goes for the raise. McVean makes the call and was that a chop pot? It was a chop pot.
It was a chop, yeah.
Totally missed the fact that the river paired the board. McVean. He's catching the breaks tonight. This could be what it takes. And, I mean, talk about catching all the breaks. How about you turn a flush? Would turning the flush
must be nice.
Be catching some breaks here? I mean, he opens King 10 suited.
Beautiful hand to have. This is a monster, really. I mean, heads up, King 10 suited is just. I mean, that's his. I mean, I'm pumped. And then you turn the diamond as well.
Yeah. Just wait until you catch up to see what he gets the very next hand. Hint: it's the middle part of my last name. It's the A and the A.
The ace. There it is. I got it up now. Wow.
Chris had a suited king, which he's always opening. McVean, I think he just went. Did he?
I hope he calls here.
I missed it because I was talking so much. He goes for a really small
3-bet. See, I would like to see him flat here, especially where he's been flatting so much this whole match.
Yeah, if he's 3-betting more, I think it's totally fine to put it in there.
Absolutely.
But if he's 3-betting a small amount, let's include that aces as a trap there.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably could have worked out for him, but he won the pot. We've reached the first threshold that I was talking about, 6,000 versus 4,000. Chris is going to be feeling some pressure, going to be wanting to pull in these hands, but I think we're seeing a smart thing by Chris here, not trying to force the issue.
Yeah,
playing the right hands. He's making a lot of good folds. You can feel a lot of pressure when you're in this spot. You're down 4,000 to 6,000. It can feel like, hey, I've got to get it back to even, otherwise I'm lost.
Even in a regular MTT, when you start getting down, I find a lot of players will start feeling that anxiety earlier than when they should. I always laugh and say I'm deep stacked until I have less than 5 big blinds.
And the pair of sixes for each of them here, and board runs out in a way that Chris should feel pretty good about it. Oh. Again, another surprise for me. Chris leads out river here and gets a fold out of a better hand. Don't think that's what Chris was intending to do, but getting a better hand to fold there.
I actually like that. I actually really like that lead. I like that lead by Chris.
I do too, really, but I don't like McVean folding there, really.
Yeah.
Your opponent either has a queen or a 5, or potential for them to have a spade in their hand that they're going after for a draw, potential that they have a 3. I think in heads up, you got to realize that the quality of hands isn't always there. Oh, and I totally missed this, but Chris Jones has pocket fives. He's got 5s, and he's screwed. Oh, this is one thing that I was going to talk about. I think Chris could get himself into a lot of trouble with 5s.
With pocket 5s. Yeah.
The reason being, he knows that we're showing the cards. He knows that everyone can see, and he knows if he gets dealt 5s,
everybody knows.
He's got to play it. He's
got to play him. Yeah.
Like he's going to have to be sticky. He can't let it go.
He can't. No. That's funny.
Yeah, Steve says, seems like both must feel the others under bluffing. Because we've seen a lot of overfolding. And I think that's true. That's what it seems like here. Well, McVean
I would agree with that.
If McVean gets jacks, the sun run continues. This must be why everyone picked him. He's the luckiest player.
It's the Canadian run gun, I'm telling you.
The Canadian run gun. But yeah, that's what it seems like. It seems like it's both. To not think your opponent is bluffing is kind of a weird thing in heads up too, because you're constantly battling it out, and you got to be like, well, I don't think you always have it.
Right.
And I think that might be what we see here. Like McVean opened up, Chris 3-bets. Chris has got ace king, and McVean kind of just being like, well, you can't always have it. Let's see a flop and then see how it plays out. Worked out for Chris.
Again,
he flopped king high and just takes it down. But
even Chris hasn't really been 3-bet. I was expecting Chris to 3-bet a little bit more in the match than what he has been.
I don't think we've seen too many hands worth 3-betting. Now we're starting to. Chris gets ace king again in the big blind.
Making a comeback here.
Yeah. Goes for a 3-bet, gets called, flops ace high. Good for Chris. Yep. Chris's sun run might be starting now.
Little turn in the tides here potentially.
And here's kind of what I was trying to allude to before. McVean kind of being sticky, saying you can't always have it. He's got king high. Chris made a small continuation bet, and McVean is like, I'm sticking with it. Big bet here on the turn, though, is just going to take it down for Chris. And we broke the 4K threshold. We're now back below there. And in terms of 3-betting, we might be seeing some 3-betting here, too. Which we do, but McVean goes really small. So a suited king jack, after an open from Chris Jones, and he just clicks it back. I don't think I like that.
I'm just getting caught up here now.
Yeah,
with the ace 9,
and he just clicks it back. I don't think I like it.
I think that's too small. Because
Yeah.
you're giving him a really great price, and then this board, the 10-9-6, is going to hit Chris fairly decently on the button, because he's probably going to be getting in there with a lot of 10x, a lot of 9x.
Yeah. And this board run out did not work out for McVean. And he's gonna keep up the aggression. He's making his bet, and this could be the tide turner if Chris can find the call, which I think he should be able to. Like, McVean's got a tight range here, and not a whole lot of it is 10s. It should be a lot of Broadway cards, a lot of aces. The only thing he's really worried about is ace 10, and he's got an ace blocker. So we're kind of at this point here on the river where I think Chris is going to be able to make this call with second pair, and he does. And
he's right.
That's going to be a big hand for this heads up tournament. Huge. That's a big tide turner.
That's a big pot.
Bunch of chips going from McVean to Chris, and now everything that we were talking about, McVean being able to apply pressure, now just flips. Now Chris can apply some pressure.
And Chris is really, really good at applying pressure, like we alluded to.
Yeah, and
earlier,
when you flop trip sixes, makes it easy to apply pressure too.
Well, it's easy when you just have the hands to do it with.
And then he gets ace queen on the button here. All the hands coming in for Chris now. We saw it all before for McVean, but Chris ace queen here. McVean in the button or in the big blind defends. McVean gets bottom pair. Chris obviously has top pair here. We might be able to see Chris extract a little bit more value here, because in heads up, a pair is pretty good, even if it's bottom pair.
There's not many draws out there either. It's a rainbow board. Just an ace high rainbow board. He should be able to call at least one bet with bottom pair.
And Chris went really big on the turn there. I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. You're kind of...
What sizing is he going with there on the turn?
Like 80% or so, maybe 75%.
80%? Yeah.
Like he's got a good hand. But you're really forcing your opponent to fold a lot there, which I don't necessarily like. And
especially when you have position.
Yeah. And here, Chris defends 7 deuce, flops 7 deuce, just flops it. And then McVean turns top pair.
That could be dangerous.
Very dangerous, but
yeah, he's going to get raised.
Kind of avoids some confrontation on the river there, which is lucky for McVean, but we're kind of seeing some downward sloping going on here. We had McVean, up top in that position to apply a lot of pressure, and now we're seeing the opposite. Now Chris is really taking the lead, applying pressure, and going after things. So
yeah, got his foot on the gas. See, I think I like a 3-bet from 4s there. I'm not sure what you think about the pairs, the small pairs, because you're not excited to see this Jack 5 deuce board, right? And if you can get folds pre-flop from 7-4 suited, or or 10-7 suited, or even maybe some stronger hands.
Yeah, I get that. I don't want to give away too much of how I'm planning on playing, but I don't think 4s would be a 3-bet for me. 4s kind of fall into like hey, I've got pretty good value here. I'm going to be out of position. I don't want to bloat this pot in a way that allows my opponent to dictate it. So that'd be a spot where I'm definitely calling with pocket 4s there. Get a little bit higher up, talk about like pocket 9s. Then I'm probably opting for a 3-bet. But could be a chance for McVean to kind of turn it around here. He's got ace king suited, turned ace, and kind of I think missed an opportunity to go for a bet there on the turn, and then he goes for a big bet on the river and doesn't get anything else out of Chris. So potentially a missed opportunity there, but still a win's a win. He's back in it, and now he's got a pretty good hand, ace 10. Versus Chris is open. See if
starting to see some bigger hands here now.
Yeah,
some ace 10, some ace kings, ace queen on the button.
We were kind of dry there for a while in terms of hands. We saw a lot of like 7 deuce versus 4 deuce and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we have seen a good share of ace kings. Chris has gotten it twice. I think McVean's got it twice. But as you always know, it always comes down to what does your opponent have and can you get paid off. That hand that we just saw there, pretty interesting for McVean to give up with an ace high there after Chris is just kind of 2 streets barreling into him with queen high. He does turn like a gut shot, so he does have some equity, but a really good result for Chris to get a fold there from a hand like ace 10 when he's holding just a gut shot essentially.
And that's where I kind of like Chris is a little bit more in the match, because he can pull that off and he can not be afraid to put in. But like you say, now that he's up, he has that ability. Like if it was the other way around, maybe he would slow down, or depending on where the chips are at the table. So
yeah. I'm doing a bad job of trying to watch the games and read chat at the same time. Apparently, the 7 deuce that I commented on a long time ago wasn't a defend. It was just a limp in there, which makes a lot more sense. It just makes it that much greater for Chris when he flopped 2 pair there. So great for that. And Steve's heading out. Yeah, I forgot to tell everyone. I don't know if it's widely known, but Championship Week. We're getting our good friend over from Learn Pro Poker, Ryan LaPlante, to be taking this spot in the booth. So nothing against you, Ben, but we get a little bit more.
Hey, you know what?
Star power.
I'll back down to the great Ryan LaPlante. I think he's more than capable of filling the booth spot. And in all seriousness, I do love Ryan. I find Ryan really, really, he has a great poker mind, really good poker sense. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Championship Week, Ryan LaPlante.
That's going to be awesome. I'll definitely be tuning in. I'll be in the chat for sure. So
yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Interesting hand here. I mean, we're talking about not
Mm-hmm.
really seeing many hands. We get ace jack versus pocket eights, and then an all diamond flop. Like, what more
Wow.
can you
They
ask for
both have a
here?
diamond. Oof.
Both have a diamond. A little scary for McVean.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a pair that's under two of those cards out
Yep.
there.
2 overs.
Um, really good call from him here on the turn after Chris barreled.
Yeah. I
But
think that's a good
what?
card for him on the turn
Yeah, it is. It reduces the
for
amount of
Chad.
kings that he has in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but talk about an atrocious river, giving Chris the gut shot straight, and now
Ooh.
he's firing out big here. It's going to be tough for McVean to make a call. I think if I'm in his shoes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm making a fold here.
I
Just due
think
to
so.
all those Broadway cards out there, and I'm pretty sure this was a 3-bet pot. You're not really beating
Yeah, it was
much at
three
this
bet
point.
pre.
The queen really hits all the draws, uh,
Mm-hmm.
either with a pair or completing straights, those types of things. The only thing that really bricked on this was if he had like a lone ace of diamonds. He
Mm.
does make the call. Very
Wow.
interesting. He thought about it
Mm.
for a long time.
Yeah, he was in the tank
Um,
there.
yeah, can't blame him too much. Very reasonable for Krista. Just kind of have like the lone ace of diamonds there,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it would have to be like a hand like ace nine, ace eight, which he blocks. Really, everything else has some sort of value.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we've got a big pressure point.
We do for sure. I see short. How short is Chad now? How many big blinds does he have?
Let's see. We got 70 is the big blind, so he's just over 30.
Just over 30. Yeah.
Just over 30 big blinds. So from the big blind aspect, 30 is still a lot to play with. But
Mm-hmm.
considering your opponent's got 90, and you're not playing to kind of like survive and outlast other people. You're battling against that one person
Yeah.
straight up. Um, it's still it's pretty tough. It's a threshold you don't want to be at. This 2,000 point is really kind of like you're circling the drain and you're
Yeah.
really
Nervous.
in dire need of a double up.
Yeah.
This could work out for him, but this is probably going to end up being a chop pot. Both of them flop bottom pair, and turn makes it a jack. And let's do some quick math here. Oh, the 7-8 is going to win. No, it's a chop. Shoot.
That's the second time you've done that.
I am great at this. I always know what's going on. But yeah, chop pot. Not what McVean wanted because he had his opponent pipped when they both have an 8 and then an 8 comes out there. But lucky for Chris. Good fold, I think, right here. He gets 6 deuce. He's got that short amount. We just hit the threshold of the third blind level, or technically the fourth level. So blinds went up to 100.
Yeah.
He's got to be smart about what he does. In 6 deuce, you got to just pitch that. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel good, but you got to get rid of it.
You got to get rid of it, yeah. Especially with less than 20 big blinds now. I'd expect him to be doing a fair amount of limping now. When he's
Yeah,
in small
no,
blind.
very very good point. Like there should be a decent amount of lipping, I think, from both players once we get to a point of like a 20 big blind
Yeah.
effective stack.
I think it'll be it should be the dominant strategy once you get to that stack
Yeah.
depth, I'm pretty sure.
I think Chris will still be opening a decent
Mm-hmm.
amount, just
Yeah,
because he can apply that pressure.
for sure.
But a pretty decent spot here for McVean. He flops bottom pair. Chris made a continuation bet. He just made the easy call. Goes check on the turn. I really like the decision to check here on the river. Let his opponent potentially bluff into him, and if he checks back, he just wins and kind of grows that stack a little bit
Yeah.
more. It'd be really detrimental to him had he let out there and then Chris jams or
Yeah.
something like that.
Or
Like
raise, or makes a
you're
big raise.
you're
Yeah.
just stuck. So I really like the decision to just check call there. I'm assuming that was his intent to go for a check call.
Yeah.
Rough spot for him now though. Like we just talked about the next hand, and Chris turns us trip aces, and McVean decides, hey, this is a good card for my range, which it probably is,
Mm-hmm.
but against Chris's exact hand, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah. See, and I think this would be perfect to put into a limping range. The Jack 3 suited
Mhm.
on the button.
Seems right.
I mean, you're probably still going to get raised with Chris's exact hand.
I mean, honestly, we're at a point where we could be seeing fireworks and the thing over any time here. Honestly, with this Jack 10, I wouldn't have been surprised had Chris opened and then McVean just goes for the jam.
That was a really good
bluff
fold.
jam. But wouldn't have surprised me either. But a small pot, one for Chris, and Chris is just going to keep applying pressure, it looks like.
Just keep building that stack.
McVean's down to 1,500 chips, though. It's literally any moment here we're going to see the all-in. We get a limp.
Yeah.
A good limp for McVean, I think. I wouldn't mind just folding 10 deuce off. But we see a limp.
A little homage to Doyle.
The Doyle hand. I don't like the Doyle hand. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
And McVean going for the river bluff. Will Chris pick it off? Chris does have the better hand with third pair. And he does pick it off.
Wow.
Good call by Chris there. But
yeah.
Wow, McVean is
the king on the turn is.
It's interesting, right? Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah.
McVean just folded a king on the button when he's got 10 big blinds. I think that's a jam. Once you get king high hands, I think you're starting to go with it. But we're flying through hands here quick. And
we
are,
waiting
for those opportunities.
That's got to be a tough pot for McVean with the 10 deuce.
Yeah.
Mental game wise, you get that call and you see what Chris called you with, and you're like, oh, really? Like, come on, like.
This could be it, and I'm gonna be really mad if this is it. We've got an ace 4 versus pocket 5s, and it's all in.
It's all in.
And I don't know what I just saw. I just saw Chris Jones win his first round matchup with pocket 5s.
Oh my goodness. He's never ever gonna let that go. It was the same pocket 5s as earlier
cancel
too.
The tournament.
It was the same pocket 5s as earlier too. As the red, he had the red 5s earlier too.
Oh my god!
Wow!
You gotta be kidding me. Rigged.
That's hilarious.
Rigged. This is rigged. Cancel MaREC Madness. This thing.
We're
is
never
over.
gonna hear. Yeah, we're never gonna hear the end of this. Chris has got it. Chris has already got it won.
Oh my god! Rigged. Rigs in the chat. All the rigs.
Yeah, the rigs are coming out.
All right, I'm going to switch this back to the other view. I might lose your audio for a second, but I should be able to get you back here pretty quickly. But
sounds good.
Oh, no. I think it's working. Give me a test. Yeah, it's working. All right,
awesome.
perfect. Oh, great. Man. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, pocket 5s.
Keto just said exactly what a third of people are saying. There goes my bracket pick.
Yep.
Wow. And Chris did it with pocket 5s. I hate this thing.
So
I hate this. I was so excited for MaREC Madness. Now I hate this. I am so upset with what's going on.
Invincible. There he is. There he is in the chat.
I'm a moderator in here. I can just
I was gonna say, can we ban him?
Time him out?
Time him out. Yeah, I was gonna say 60 seconds or something. Yeah.
And there's Gibber. Gibber made the pick of Chris. So
that's a good pick. Can't go wrong with either one of those picks. To be honest, I like both those guys. So that's good. That was a great first match.
What? My goodness, how crazy is that? That is just unbelievable. Oh, so
wow.
I mean, in terms of how that played out, holy cow, those hands go fast. It's so hard to keep up.
It is.
And especially with our technical difficulties where you have to watch the stream, which there's no delay on the stream, but just the natural internet thing. You're 5 seconds behind or so. So that makes it tough. But
definitely.
Wow, we flew through hands, and there's a lot of good hands going on.
There was. We seen the ones that stick out were the King 10 suited, the turn flush. I think that was that McVean.
Yeah,
had?
that was a small one, but it was it was at a point where he could have started putting away Chris. Chris made a good fold there to get out of the way. What was the other big one? There was one huge hand where it totally flipped. Right, we were talking about one huge hand. Chat can help us out. because we're struggling to remember what it was.
There was an ace queen suited on the button, I think, that Chris had. I don't know if that was the one where. Oh, it was the ace jack versus the eights as well.
Ace jack versus eights. That was like
when he made the call in the river.
That was the dagger one. The one I think of as like, hey, this really put Chad in a hole that he couldn't do. But there was one hand, I'm trying to remember back to what it was, where McVean had the lead early on. And he had that like 6K to 4K, and then all of a sudden there was a 2K pot, and then it teeter-tottered the other way. Chris kind of took over the lead, if you will. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was a big hand. So it was really that first hand, then that ace queen versus or ace jack versus eights.
Jack versus the eights, yeah.
And then it was, after that point, it was just kind of like a slow, prolonged meltdown of his stack. The ace 9.
10-9-4 flop, yeah.
Yeah. He had king jack.
He did the king jack and he bluffed. Yeah, he
went
bluffed
for the
river
bluff, and
right.
Chris made the good call with second pair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the hand, if we talk about what one hand, and I refuse to admit that it was the pocket fives winning it for him. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pick that hand, but really the ace 9 versus king jack I think was the defining hand of this match. Great call by Chris there. Kind of thinking through it as it was playing out, I think it was the right thing to do because it was a 3-bet pot, which kind of narrows McVean's range, and then you kind of get that run out where you're really only worried about a 10, and at that point the way the action goes through, is he really betting that with a 10 if it's not the ace 10? Chris has got the ace blocker, plus he's got what would be a great bluff catching hand, and he catches the bluff.
And he says in here, he said the board kept it low, and I called, and
exactly. Yeah,
perfect.
I think and obviously it would have worked out for McVean, but like anything higher than a 10 comes out, a jack comes out, a queen comes out, a king comes out, an ace comes out. Okay, maybe not an ace.
Maybe not an ace.
But anything jack, queen, king obviously makes McVean have the best hand, but all those would have scared Chris away, I think. All of which, he's thinking about his range, he understands what's going on there, and then great call. Don't listen to Chris, we'll just time him out. The defining hand was not the last one.
I think the 10 deuce one, I think that one, I think mentally for Chad must have been tough, because he's already knows that he's kind of behind the 8-ball, and then to get called by like a really bottom pair kind of hand that you think you might be able to get to fold, that's got to be hard to come back from. So
yeah, definitely can see that. So I mean, I'll admit he was my pick, and congrats to Chris. Chris is the first to move
Congratulations, Chris.
And Chris is the first one to break some brackets, because now a third of the brackets that just went out there lost their winner pick, and it's going to be really tough to win if you don't have the winner pick. I honestly think it's going to be impossible to win if you don't have the winner pick. So really kind of ruining everyone's hopes and dreams there, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
With, of course, none other than.
But we will be seeing Chris next week. Chris is going to be taking this spot in the booth. So we will see Chris next week. Maybe we can get him to talk about any of those hands except for the last one with pocket fives. But congrats,
well, he might not
Chris.
be able to talk about. He might not be able to talk about anything else but that last hand.
No.
Just no.
Yeah, just no. Yeah. So, congrats, Chris. But that's not all that we have. We're gonna have another matchup coming up here pretty soon. And that's the next one. It is Rob versus John, and John tied for the second most picks in terms of the bracket. So Chris also tied for the second most. We saw him advance to the final four. But another crowd favorite, PokerGeekMN, John Somsky, coming up here versus Rob Washam. So two great people. Like I said, John Somsky's that guy in charge of all the Poker Stars tournaments that we put together. He's constantly looking at the results, posting stuff in Discord the next day, keeping track of all those results. He's just the mastermind behind everything home game related. And Rob, on the other hand, he's our book study guy. He's always going through those book studies. We're just going to be starting up a new one, Michael Acevedo's Modern Poker Theory. Rob will be starting up a book study for that. So we've got these two.
I got my copy right here.
Oh yeah, I got my copy too, but it's in my desk and I end up bumping my thing and then my camera shakes. But yeah.
I like the copy. I like the cover rather. The cover is
cool.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But we've got these two coming up, so
yeah, this will be a good match. I'm looking forward to this one. I like you say, these are great guys, and big shout out to John for putting all the stats out there, and putting together the home games and stuff. And I've had the pleasure of talking with Rob and stuff, so I definitely have a soft spot for these two guys. So looking forward to watching this match for sure.
Yeah. So what do you expect out of this matchup? We kind of talked about the first one. Chris maybe going a little bit more aggressive, bigger sizing. Chad a little bit middle of the road. What do you expect out of these two? Do you know enough to?
Pretty even. I think it's pretty even. I think John has a slight edge just because I think he might have a little bit more experience online. Where I think Rob, like if this was live, I think I would take Rob. Okay. Potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but. Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of where when I was thinking about it, I was trying to be like, man, this is really close. But if I had to choose a slight edge, I would have to say John. But
okay, yeah, Rob is retired now. Rob has moved out. He's in Vegas. He's able to play whatever he wants. So maybe that is a good read. That if it was live, he'd be able to kind of use that to his advantage. I don't know if people know, but like we had Rec Poker Day at Running Aces here like a year ago, essentially, right before COVID shut everything down, and Rob went on a tear. He, I think, chopped the first one and then made the final table of the second tournament of the day. So essentially, just went back-to-back final tables in like 100 plus entry fields live. Yeah. So obviously got that going for him.
Yeah.
John Somsky's always playing in the online game, so maybe he is a little bit more adept in that, but I think we're gonna see two very similar styles here, and
I think so too.
I think it's gonna be kind of like a prolonged matchup, if you will. I think we're gonna kind of see both of these people just kind of jockeying back and forth, trying to gain their ground, not going too aggressive. We saw a decent amount of over bets in the previous matchup in Chris versus Chad. I don't know if we'll see any overbets here. I'm going to make the prediction we don't see a single overbet in this matchup.
Okay. We'll have to keep an eye out for that for sure.
Yeah, and 3-betting, I could see 3-betting be a little bit on the scarce side. I mean, obviously we'll see how it all plays out. But, I think we're going to see a much more conservative style of play out of both these players. But both of them, they know what they're doing. They're going to be good. So
for sure.
I said this weeks ago. This is the matchup I'm most looking forward to because I have no idea what to predict. Based off what you said, it sounded like you're going with John?
I'm going with John just because I think he has, like I say, the slight edge just with the little bit more online experience and maybe with just some of the online play end of it. But like I say, I think it's very close. I think Rob could very easily pull this off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm going to go with Rob. Honestly, it's a coin flip for me. Ultimately, what came down to me making this pick was I expected more people to pick John, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. So I used that as my tiebreaker to ultimately make me pick Rob. But I think this is going to be close. I'm so excited for this one. I think it should be a ton of fun. And we should be able to get it started up here in just a second, it looks like. But in terms of what the community picked, you could have guessed it. It wasn't the surprise like last time, but second place guess or second most picked champion winner pick of John Somsky also coming through in here. 2/3 of people have John Somsky winning this matchup. So if Rob wins, could be a bracket buster. But still a decent amount of people picking Rob here too. So we'll see how it all plays out. I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Definitely. I think though I was just looking through my notes. I think the only thing I played with John a little bit. And he is pretty aggressive. Like he can put the gas on. Now, mind you, every time I play a pot with him, he's got aces. So maybe maybe that's where that comes from.
looks like we're ready to go.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, gotta get seats configured, it looks like. Oh. I'm assuming we'll get this figured out, but
they can
John's got it.
There we go.
I think this looks much better. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay. Your audio, I need to fix your audio here.
Okay.
Should be good now. But yeah. Just a little bit of get people seated in the right spot so when we do our screen grabbing it all works out correctly. So, yeah. Rich, Mr. Diz says, not sure if I remember all my picks. Anyway, we can see what we submitted. I'll try and figure out a way if there's a way that I can like share and do all that stuff. If you really want to, just send me a message on Discord. I have all of them in there, so I'll have all those picks. But I can share your picks back with you just so you know what you have. Rich, I'll actually look yours up here too. But two people having a jack here. It's
I was gonna say a flush draw for Rabman here.
Yeah, and that was kind of a weird spot to start us off with, right? Like both of them kind of have a draw. Both of them kind of first one into the pot might actually be the one that wins it, but Rab takes it down. He's got the flush draw with it. Yeah. Rich, just so you know, you are cheering for John Somsky in this matchup. Just helping you out there. I went and looked up the picks just so you know who you
wow,
had.
what a flop here. The King 6. King 6 flop strips against Ace Queen.
Yeah, wait till you see the river. Oh, and we came very close to not seeing an overbet. John goes 300 into 306 when he rivers quads.
Wow.
And I can't blame Rob for calling down with not just ace high, but ace queen high. Essentially has the best hand unless John has exactly a 6, a jack, or a 3. So can't blame Rob for that. But again, we're at that early stage. We got to rewind our own thinking. Like we just got done watching,
yeah, exactly.
30 minutes into a matchup. Now we're back at that early stages, feeling out, seeing how stuff is going.
Once, 160 big blinds deep and yeah. Yeah, I've seen a fair few more checks here. Surprised to not see Rob take a little stab there maybe after it checks through.
Yeah, and you're talking about the hand where John won with ace high. I think it's really common for John to just check down with ace high there too, which he did and ultimately won the hand. But again, kind of just it seems like that just feeling out stuff right away.
Yeah,
and Rob flops not just a set but a full house here with pocket sevens after defending. I expected John to not get too involved here, but now he just turned a second pair for John. So we should be able to get some chips going to Rob here. It'll be interesting to see exactly how much. But it is a relatively small pot with only 200 in the middle here on the river. And really close. Rob goes for essentially a pot-sized bet, but not an over bet. So my prediction stays true. And I can't fault John for calling here when he turned second pair. But
really great call by Radman there on the flop as well. Just kind of sneaking it in there. Cheeky sevens.
I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm probably good here.
Let's see. I'm losing against pocket queens and beating everything else. Yeah, I think I'll call.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some hands right away here. Rob defends big blind. Last time he defended big blind, flops a full house. This time he defends queen 4, flops queen 4 king. Like,
Wow.
Starting off good for Rob, but will that be the
Yeah.
curse? We saw that work for
We've seen
McVean at
that.
the start,
Mm-hmm.
and
We've seen that before, yeah.
it'll all come down to how does this play out in the future.
King on the turn, I don't think Rob was too thrilled with that card there on the turn.
No, you can't be, because you got to think with Queen 4, the majority of what you're trying to get value from is a king. Because you block them having a queen, you block them having a 4. So you're really hoping that they have a king, and then when the turn comes a king, it's scary. It's like, hey, this is not what I signed up for.
But it's like it seems like if you just have a queen there, like if you just have a pair of queens and you don't have the 2 pair, when you turn the king, it feels a lot better because you're there's less kings, right? Less kings. But then when you have 2 pair, you're like, oh, really? Like,
because
it just feels worse.
Disguised 2 pair with Queen 4. You don't have disguised 2 pair when the board pairs.
Yeah.
Man, getting Jim is posting on Twitter. Chris is posting on Twitter. I think we're gonna have to like throttle Chris down in some way, because he's all about this pocket 5 win that he just had, and oh my gosh, I don't want to go too far back. Oh wow, what a turn here for Rob. But when Rob turns a set here, the one hand he's hoping John doesn't have is a straight draw, and that's what John has, but brick the straight draw. Rob's going to go for another value bet here, and I think John's just going to give this one up.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else you can really do there.
Yeah, easy fold there from John.
Yeah.
But, previous matchup, I thought Chris was going to get into trouble with pocket 5s. That was my prediction going into this, that, like, he just is not going to be able to fold it. Like, he's got to live up to, hey, I've got pocket 5s. And this just blew up in my face, because now he lived up to the pocket 5s. He won with the hand. Oh, man.
Oh, my.
Wow. What a turn of events, though, here with this one. Rob flops middle pair. Somsky turns second pair to outdo him, and then Rivers another one of those jacks just to put a nail in the coffin, and we're back to even.
Yeah, this is kind of how I seen this. You know, like you say, a lot of little back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we could get into some matchups that like end quick when someone, gets top pair versus someone else having like 2 overs and a flush draw or something like that, and then all of a sudden like 2 aggressive opponents kind of go after it. I think if that came up in this scenario, we wouldn't see too much over aggression in some of those spots. So I think we're going to kind of see both of these players just feel each other out, and that's kind of what's going on here. And even
especially
now,
with the blind structure and stuff, it's not like a cash game. Like I've watched quite a bit of the Doug Polk and Daniel Negreanu stuff, and that's fixed blinds. They can rebuy at any point. But with this, you got one shot, you got only a certain amount of chips, and once you're out, you're out. So definitely changes it up a lot as far as the play goes.
You talk heads up cash with that. Like you get into a spot where you have, call it like a river raise, and you're like, hey, I've probably got like 33% equity or 33% chance to win this, and pot odds are giving me 38%.
Did Bradman just 3-bet the 4s there? He did 3-bet the 4s. Look at that. That's my man right there.
Taking your line of thought. That's interesting. But like you're gonna see people kind of turn down those high variance, probably neutral EV spots in this tournament just due to the value of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
So that'll definitely be interesting as we go through here. Yeah, I am surprised to see that the 4s were turned into a 3-bet there. To me, like I was saying, like that's a nice hand to just kind of like call down with, play a small pot. Once you go for the 3-bet, you've inflated that pot size, and every street after that just becomes a little bit more difficult. It may seem appealing right away. Step 1, like I've got a good hand. Pocket 4s is probably ahead of what you have, but then you got to realize we're deep stacked. We are playing all three streets here very commonly. Fours does struggle with that playability on flop, turns, and rivers.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I like kind of mixing it into a 3-bet range. It's because of that low profitability or that low playability on flops and turns.
Right, just
you
try
can
and
just
take it down.
Just try and take it down and not have to sweat it. And then if you get called, then you can take the line of just, like you say, just, maybe checking and slowing down on certain flops or whatever. Lines go up so fast here. I just said
it seems like it, but it's every 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
We just saw the first trigger. We just must have reached the 10-minute mark, and then we go into that, and then 10 minutes from now it'll go up again. And they're playing a lot of hands too, so it feels fast, but at the same time, this is about as slow as we could do it with having a reasonable tournament. So, really interesting flop here. I like to talk that our most recent seminar that we did with Rec Poker was heavily based on a Jack 10-9 board for the third part of our discussion. We get a Jack 10-9 board here, and John just kind of is checking down, playing a smaller pot. Ultimately, he rivers the nut straight, but I think that was really smart of him to kind of play a little bit more passively. And there goes my prediction. John Somsky goes for the overbet on the river when he rivered the nut straight. Rob rivered top pair, made the call, and we've seen that first shift in the power struggle. Ooh, sorry.
Oh. I've got one of those. I've got one of those at my place.
Yes, everyone's ears just bled.
Yeah.
Listening to this, and I'm so sorry.
R.I.P.
Oh man, I heard that. I've got the best deafening ones because I've got the headphones on and the dog is out there. But my wife just walked in the door and set the dog off. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, hopefully we didn't blow any speakers or eardrums with that one. Where were we?
Button raise. 10 deuce for a button raise. He flops a pair.
And takes it down in the turn. Lucky to get those types of flops. 10 deuce, you're really kind of just only hoping for that 10. Even any sort of pair with the deuce, you just don't feel that good about.
Yeah.
But been trying to pay as best attention as I could, but we haven't seen many just open folds through this, have we?
There's been a couple. There's been a couple. There's been a few folds. There's been a couple limps too. I've seen Rob limp in a few times. Not much limping from John. Like I say, I've seen a couple of folds, but not many. Not many. They're pretty much playing pretty well every hand here.
Yeah. Interesting here. John opened the 7-6 off, gets a very big board of ace, king, queen, all of one suit. I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for a continuation bet there, given that he was the pre-flop aggressor, but he checks behind. Rob takes the lead and takes down the pot. Rob did have second pair, but also just kind of a generally strong line for him to take there in that spot too. Hey, I don't think we've seen anyone with pocket kings yet. We did see the aces in the last matchup, but we got pocket kings here now. A good flop for Rob in terms of being able to get away from it, and easily does. John just wins a small one with pocket kings there.
I'd rather win a small pot than lose a big one with kings.
Yeah, sure. But also, from Rob's perspective, he doesn't know he's calling against king, but
of course.
If he hits a top pair of jacks there, that's going to be just bad news bears situation.
Definitely.
Oh, really interesting with John here. Interested to see your thoughts on this. Rob flops middle pair, goes for the continuation bet, and John kind of taking I've got really low equity. I've only got a backdoor flush draw and turning it into a check raise, and gets Rob to fold middle pair.
Wow.
Didn't really expect to see too much of that this matchup, but really Gonna change the dynamics of how this might play out if John is willing to take some of those low equity but still potentially some equity spots and turn them into check raises and get hands like middle pair.
That was a really interesting hand.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really interesting hand. I like it. I kind of like it. I mean, if you get called, you're not really too thrilled unless you see a heart on the turn, and even then, you're gonna have to fire pretty big.
Are you just going down that same path?
Like in my head, if I check raise there and get called, if a heart comes off on the turn, I'm just gonna absolutely bomb it on the turn.
Yeah.
Just try and get whatever to fold.
Yeah, probably ends up working out. And
yeah,
I thought we could have seen some fireworks here too. Rob flops a flush draw. John flops middle pair, and we kind of saw some slowdown on the turn, and then John ultimately taking it down. But we could have seen some fireworks there too.
Interesting to see Rob not go for it there at any point with the 6 high.
Yeah, right. Like he's really just kind of got a bluffing spot, but he kind of just ultimately decides like, hey, I just don't think my opponent's gonna fold. Which I can't blame him either with how that board ran out too. Like nothing too scary came out. The other draws that John potentially have kind of like came in. I think the turn was like a 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
10.
It was kind of like a bad turn to barrel again on, and I'm hoping that's what went through Rob's mind. Like, hey, look at this. This is a bad turn to barrel on, and kind of tuned it down because of that.
Wow, he called off with 6s there as well.
Against,
Rob or against John there.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's tough to make a pair.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting here. King Queen versus King 9. Both of them have a straight draw, and Rob now rivers top pair, but that's what completes John's straight. John is gonna bet here, but how big, and then will Rob call is kind of the question. I think Rob's calling everything, so there we see an overbet from John and a quick call from Rob, and Rob has been dinged once again, now below that 4K threshold that I don't want to ever be in that 4K threshold.
No. I think you have to call there on the river, though.
No, I agree. You really...
But you just hate it.
you're losing to 2 pairs and any hand with a 9. But there's also potentially a lot of bluffing that your opponent can do. I think you can make the case either way. I would have ended up calling, which is why I kind of saw that train wreck coming.
He makes a quick call as well. It was
It was really quick.
Very quick, yeah.
I would have made the same quick call.
Yeah, I think I would have too, yeah.
Oh.
Interesting turn. Gives John a bottom pair.
Yeah, that was the previous hand.
Jack 8, yeah.
Yeah, it ended shortly after that. We're on a hand now where Rob rivered second pair and just checked behind. Maybe getting in his own head a little bit. Probably could have gone for value there on the river with second pair, but I think he's just trying to chip back up and not lose too much, which
that's maybe more of the lower variance lines we're talking about, where your tournament life is pretty important and you don't want to
because if he makes a big bet and gets called and is wrong, again that deficit grows. Not really what he wants. Interesting spot. Rob now on the turn gets an open-ended straight draw and let out. Poker Geek decided to call with just 2 overs, and Rob drilled his straight.
You love to see it.
Love to see. I would have liked to see him go bigger here, because the ace also makes a straight when he's got that 6 there. If your opponent has an ace there, he's calling down any river, and if you've got the 6, you've got him beat. I would have gone massive in that spot from Rob.
I'm getting caught up on it here now.
Yeah, I mean when that river comes out at 2, a lot of your opponent's range has an ace in there. If you just go huge, they can't fold an ace. right?
What did he bet? What did he bet on the river? I think I missed the sizing there. What did Rob go for value on that one?
I thought it was like 60%.
60%?
I also missed it too. I'm not sure if anyone in chat saw it, but it was kind of like he's kind of like dividing it. Like maybe he'll call with like a middle pair, but he's for sure calling with an ace. So I'm going to go in the middle and maybe I can get that middle pair.
Maybe you can get it. Yeah.
I personally would just like try attacking that ace just because the ace can never fold on that run out. Ace is in that spot and they're going, ace is there going like, well, you know, maybe you've got a straight too, but then we're chopping thinking we have the ace, but we have the 6. Oh, man, we have him in a tough spot.
Here's Binkley now. Maybe check with the 6 high straight. And then you can check raise if they had an ace. Yeah.
Yeah, potentially.
We did see some. We did see some check raising earlier in the match from John. So
the thing that makes me a little bit weary about going for a check raise there on that like straight type board is we had the aggression the previous street, which is then going to incline a few more checks. Ooh, Poker Geek gets a walk with the pocket 5s. Good to see that hand just wins the minimum and goes straight back into the muck. You love to see it. We can't have any more wins with 5s here tonight. I think too much. I've had enough. I've had enough, Ben. I can only handle so many pocket 5 wins.
I'm with you.
And Rob is catching all the hands now, but John doesn't have anything to call him down with. So
I noticed that
he's catching all these. He's getting flushes. He's getting straights. But he's not getting
not just
paid
the flush, the nut flush there, and can't get any value.
Yeah. So, things are working out for Rob, just not in the right way. He's winning the hands, but he wants to win big hands.
John's just not letting him.
Interesting here. Rob flops bottom pair and goes for a really big sizing. He goes 3/4 pot here, and John's got middle pair. I don't think John's going anywhere. And now Rob's going to be in a tough spot on this turn here. Goes for a snap check back, which I don't know how I feel about going huge and then snap check back, but goes check check turn, check check river. John wins another decent sized pot.
Yeah, this is where I'm not sure. This is where I'm not sure. And with heads up play, if you're supposed to go small there, or if you're just supposed to go big and polarized.
Get rid of all of what I was saying before. Rob flops gin, and John flops second gin. Ace Jack versus John, Jack 8, and 2 jacks on the flop. We're gonna see a huge pot go to Rob here, but the turn goes check check. What is going on here, guys? Rob is going for the long con in his trip jacks, and John's gonna bet river here. He has to. I think. John goes for the over bet. Rob's gonna be he's going all in. He's got to be huge sizing, but not all in. John just calls, and there we have a huge flip in the momentum there. Really interesting to see how that played out. Rob goes for the check raise option there after the turn went check check. I'm pretty sure. Really interesting.
Wow.
Binkley talking to the other things. You mean the number of pots you win isn't more important than the amount you win? Strange, right? I'd just go all in every hand until someone called me, right? Then I'd just keep winning small pots.
Easy game.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We could be seeing the tides turn for Radman 50 here. He got the huge hand with the ace jack, won a big amount of chips. Now
did he just fold ace 10? Did he fold ace 10 there in that other hand?
Yeah, he
did.
He did fold ace 10.
Did he have a draw there?
It was a queen king board.
Queen king with ace 10. That maybe should have been a call there.
Probably, but I did miss what was going on there too, because I was still trying to recover my brain on the ace jack versus jack 8.
Yeah.
What the heck? What a hand that was. And now we're back to even. It was the John Somsky show for the longest time, and now Rob has just leveled the playing field.
Well, and Rob has been making the hands, but he finally got an opportunity to actually get paid from John.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rob's been running really good, but he's been having a hard time getting paid.
That's exactly what it seems like. Like here we've got a spot. He's got top pair. Ooh, this worked out really well for him because he got PokerGeek to lead into him on the turn, but just reverse Uno card him. John Somsky rivered a straight.
Reverse Uno card.
Reverse Uno.
I like that one.
Yep, it's flip it back on you. Yeah. Rob had the, hey, I've got the draw 4 card. He laid it down, and then PokerGeek was like, rivered flush, reverse Uno. In terms of sizing, I've been seeing PokerGeek go with just the min open the whole way through. I'm not planning on doing min opens, at least from the start, when it's so big.
No, and I don't think you should either.
Yeah, later on, I think the min open becomes mandatory. Like when we were talking about before, towards that end of Chris and McVean's matchup, when we were talking about, do we limp, do we raise? That's definitely the spot to be like min opening here, but seems like John's going for that a lot. A good hand for John there. He takes out really another chunk of chips, ace king versus a pair of queens, but I'm just feeling like there's this story going on where John is just slowly going to be chipping away at Rob until Rob can finally like cooler him, and then we're going to go back to that until John can chip away and Rob can cooler him. It's just,
and then they're just going to get it all in on. They're going to get it all in on a flip, and then that'll be the end of the match.
This whole battling the whole way through only to be ended with
just a full coin flip. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Another pocket fours for Rob in the big blind, open from PokerGeek, and Rob's going for that 3-bet, and just like you would want to see when you make that play, he gets the fold. So just takes it down with pocket fours there, but. Could have been really dicey too if
seeing him go
calls, then all of a sudden force plays so tough. That's what I'm so concerned about when I have that hand.
Yeah, I think you can. It's definitely one you can. I think I like mixing, so I don't think I'm 3-betting it all the time. Sometimes I'm flatting, sometimes I'm 3-betting, just depending.
Yeah, we've seen Rob do it twice now, so probably fair to assume that a lot of his strategy is I'm going to be 3-betting pocket pairs and potentially like high broadways, suited Broadway types of hands too. So that may be what he's going for. And, pocket pairs, do a good job of balancing out that range too, but it does become a very linear range as well.
Definitely. Is that Jack 6 suited that Rabman folded there as well?
I missed it because I'm on this hand now. PokerGeek had 9-7.
Oh, the 9-7,
top pair. Rob, continuation bet with King Jack suited, turns a king, and we had John chipping away at Rob, and Rob just took a chunk right back there. So more of the same.
Yeah, you were on the ball here with the guesses on how this is playing out.
I thought it was going to be more back and forth. Whoa.
Ooh. Did he snap? Snap call.
Oh no! I think we saw John's screen a little bit too much there when he was getting his card share going on. Or it was Rob's. I don't know. One of those two. We all of a sudden saw a little video feed malfunction. But all when someone had kings, so I don't even know what happened with the king's hand. I was just too distracted to make sure it wasn't on my end. But
pocket fives wins the minimum again. You'd be happy about that.
Yeah, you just move on to the next hand. As quickly as you can, just move on to the next hand.
Yeah, quickly put it in the muck. Get some dominated aces here.
Rob calls down on the river with just ace high, but PokerGeek had the pair. So another chip away. I mean, I thought this matchup, like, I kind of adjusted what I was talking about. Like, right away, I thought it was just going to be constantly back and forth, small digs. But now it seems like it's very much like John winning a good chunk of the medium-sized pots, Rob winning a few small ones, and then also Rob's been able to take down those big pots, too. Every time there's been a big pot, it seems like Rob has been the beneficiary of it. So, if the next big pot goes John's way, I think that's going to be it for Rob, just based off how this like dynamic has been going.
Definitely.
So we'll see how it all continues to play out. But
blinds are going up. Got another blind level here.
They just went up.
Yeah.
Went up to 5,100. So still playing 40 big blinds deep. But again, not as comfortable as when we were playing 160. Just 30 minutes in, and the effective stack size shrunk by 25%.
Yeah, very similar to the home games. I find the home games, when you're playing that, it's like you're deep at the start, and then you get super, super shallow, and then everyone gets super, super deep again.
Because everyone starts busting. Yeah, but now no one's busting. Now you just keep getting shallower and shallower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keeps going down and down.
Yeah, but a bunch of uneventful hands kind of playing out here. Just a bunch of small pots kind of jockeying back and forth. But the one thing I've just been seeing John Somsky constantly win these small pots recently. He just keeps growing that lead that he has. So
yeah, it seems to be the consistent small pots is just kind of building John's stack. I think I've seen a couple of folds from Rob that I probably would have called. There was
like that ace-10.
The ace-10. I think there was a suited jack that he could have defended in the blinds as well.
Interesting here. We were talking about how Rob was turning a lot of his pocket pairs into 3-bets. And he gets the kings and just flat calls. Gets a really dangerous board, though. A 9-queen jack is not what you're looking for when you've got pocket kings.
No.
PokerGeek does have the 10, so he does have a straight draw here. A king would be detrimental. I think a king ends this tournament. An ace river, though, we're kind of in a spot where Rob's probably going to just scoop here. Yeah, we go back to even.
Yep.
John could have gone for a bluff there, but he did have a pair. His draw missed. His opponent had been calling down the whole way. Ace is somewhat of a scare card, but I think Rob was going to end up calling there with pocket kings. But really interesting to see how that one kind of played out, because it was like strong value hand versus strong draw hand. Because even with the 7-10 there after the turn, when he gets his 7, another 7 gives him trips. A 10 gives him 2 pair, although it doesn't look good, but it is a hand that beats pocket kings.
Exactly, yeah.
Is it? No. Rob would have gotten the
it would have been counterfeited, yeah.
Yep. Okay, never mind. So, disregard that last part. Just cut that out.
I'll have to do some post-production there and cut that out.
Just bleep it out and say, like, pocket 5's still not worth playing or something that.
Just fold pre. Yeah.
Just fold pre.
No, that's Jack's. That's Jack.
That's Jack. Don't play it. I kind of would have expected Rob to turn King Jack suited into a 3-bet here. If he's 3-betting hands like pocket 4s, I would like to see him kind of bring those suited broadways into the equation as well.
Definitely.
But this one looks
and they're gonna play, and they're gonna play good as well when you do get called. Even more so than the 4s, so you're almost more inclined to 3-bet with those bigger Broadway cards, because they have some post-flop playability as opposed to the 4s, where you're more just happy to kind of scoop the pot pre-flop.
Exactly. Yeah. But how that hand just played out too, also kind of what I was expecting to start. Like, neither player flopped all that well. They kind of had just like a hand that probably don't really want to bluff with, and it just goes check, and we don't see too many people getting out of line. King high just took it down, and they move on to the next hand.
Kind of different from the last match, really, because we've seen some river bluffs, and we've seen some big calls with bottom pairs and stuff like that, where these guys are more of in the check kind of, okay, let's see what you got, feeling it out.
until they both flop trips, and then they go check all the way until the river, and
check on it. That flop,
wake up.
check turn, and then
yeah,
check raise river.
Yeah. Kind of interesting to see the different strategies play out, because if that hand happened with Chad versus Chris, I think they're all in on the turn.
On the turn, or even maybe on the flop.
Yeah. And now you see Rob versus John, and it goes to the river, and then that's finally when the fireworks happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it was evident fireworks were gonna happen, but just at what point in the hand?
Yeah.
So we are really even here too. Like, this is, we played, it's got to be 30 minutes or so now, and a lot of back and forth, a lot of jockeying for position. But like, this point right now, we're essentially even stacks.
Yeah, it's surprising to see this far in, and they're still pretty close to starting stack. It's it definitely goes to show, like you said, like we were saying at the start, how close this match really is between these guys.
Yeah,
because I think it's starting to show here a little bit.
And Rob gets even better, turns a straight here. PokerGeek does have the potential of getting the nut straight, but he's drawn to a gut shot. He does call. This rivered fourth diamond is really going to shut everything down, though. Yeah, it goes check, check.
Yep.
And Rob just scoops the pot.
Just so we expected it there, kind of.
Right, like
bad run out, but
potentially someone could try and turn their hand into a bluff. I think how it all played out, like, it all makes sense. But you could see that someone turn their hand into a bluff here, and here's a hand where we could see some fireworks. PokerGeek 5-6, Rob man 4-4, get a flop set versus an open-ended straight draw. John
huge.
goes for the check raise. Rob, is he just gonna call, or is he gonna say, I have nothing of? He's saying, I have nothing of this. I see your check raise and I raise. This could be that spot where I was talking about before, where you kind of have roughly the right price to call here, but it's so threatening to your tournament life. And yeah, we see PokerGeek make that fold.
That's a good fold.
I think in a cash game, you just rip it in. You've got an open-ended straight draw versus set,
especially for how deep they are.
Yep,
because they're not very deep there right now. They're starting to. They're sub 40 bigs now, are they? I believe.
Should be, yeah. 100 big blind. John just got knocked below 4,000. So yeah, 40 bigs or so. But like cash game, that's getting in the middle.
Yeah,
for sure. But in this, he's kind of weighing it out, going, "Hey, I've got 8 outs, got 2 streets to get there. I've got 30-ish% equity." And he just chooses not to play it. I can't blame him. I'd probably do the same thing, because when have we seen Rob take that line, except for extreme value?
Yeah,
and so
he's been pretty value heavy.
But we talked about all before about PokerGeek, being the top totem, just trying to keep knocking Rob down, and Rob's having nothing of it now. Now he flipped the tables and he's on top.
I think this is my favorite stack depths to play at, like 40-ish big blinds.
This is also PokerGeekMN's favorite hand to play, the pocket aces.
He always has it against me in the home game, so
Guy always plays when he has pocket aces. What's up with him?
Yeah.
What's he doing? But nothing working out for Rob there, so now we're seeing John get the hands, but Rob not having a counter to it to be able to play with it, so just winning a small hand there. PokerGeek flopping trips with Jack 8. Deja vu.
Yep.
Deja vu. But,
here we go again. no case Jack out there, though, unfortunately.
No, but I wonder if that was going through his mind right there. Like, I've got Jack 8 again, and here comes 2 jacks.
Yep.
I mean, he's smart enough to realize it is what it is, but
monsters under the bed there. You're not when you see the check raise, you see a check raise or something like that, and you're like, oh no, not again.
Yeah. And this one could be interesting. Jack 10 versus 10-9. Not really an action flop here, though. I was kind of thinking like
Hmm.
very, draw type of hands. Poker Geek having them pipped,
Yeah.
but just a nothing board, and Rob folds. Can't blame him for it, but I thought we may have been able to see some fireworks there.
They both kind of have the cards that they both kind of block each other with that in that kind of
Right.
situation with the 10-9 versus Jack 10.
But the thing is, like when you both have those hands, like get like an 8 Queen 7 flop or something like that. Like all of a
Hmm.
sudden,
It's
it's
crazy,
dicey.
yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of looking at that like, what is gonna happen here? But we just
Fours
saw
again. How many pairs of fours has Radman had? This has got to
too
be
many.
his. Yeah, this has got to
He
be
goes
two
by
times.
4x4 4 on Twitter. That's
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
No.
I'm kidding. That's Chris. That's Chris with his fives.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, do we need to bring that up again?
No, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have even went there. That's my bad. But we have seen some kind of chipping back away by Poker
Hmm.
Geek. It'd be really
Still very
interesting to
even.
see like the number of hands and stuff going on here, because it feels like Poker Geek is winning 65% of the hands, but they've been all small pots, and then every
Hmm.
time it's been a big one, it seems like Rob has kind of taken that down, and ultimately we're just back at even. And Rob, another instance where he's got trips. He's checking into Poker Geek. Will Poker Geek fire a bluff? No, just checks and
Mm,
trips take it down. So Rob not getting value
not
from
getting
trips
value
there,
there.
but I think with
The
the
higher
exact
EV
hands,
line is probably
the
check.
only way he was making money there was a check.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
can't get too upset with Poker Geek checking back.
No, and you're happy to win that pot with that amount of chips in
Mm-hmm.
there.
Another sizable one though here. Like we've got
Mm.
1.5K in the middle. Poker Geek rivers 2 pair, and is just gonna take it down because Rob's got nothing, and right back to even.
Yep.
just that constant story of someone getting dinged and we're going right back to even.
I'm curious to see when the limping starts, or if they're going to start limping here soon, or if they're just going to keep raising. So it seems like they've
Yeah.
been pretty consistent with the raising strategy. Like they've pretty well been raising really consistently and stuff. So
Yeah, I think how blinds did go up. I missed the blinds going up to 150 here, but I think with how even they are, and still pretty deep at 150, I think the raising that they're doing is still reasonable.
yeah, for
I
sure.
have been seeing Rob do a little bit of like 2.5x. Probably makes sense to tone that down a little bit, but at the same time, I think being slightly above min is probably what I would be doing in this spot.
Yeah, 2.2, 2.1.
But we are getting to a point where min open probably should be the norm, with some limps potentially mixed in there. But it's going to be a lot of back and forth because now size of the pots are growing. Those dings that each of them are taking, if they don't recover right away, can kind of exaggerate the differences in the stacks. But pretty good for Rob here to... Oh, this is going to be a cooler spot. Rob's got an 8 high straight. John... Oh... That is
Ooh.
an amazing check back by John. John rivered a straight,
Yeah, I'm just getting caught up here now.
but checks back when Rob checked into him. So Rob had not the nuts because there was a flush draw out there, but the nut straight. John rivers the bottom straight
The bottom straight
and
and checks
checks
it back. Wow.
I had assumed that there was going to be some chips going in there. I'm surprised to see how
That's
that
a
all
really
played
good
out.
check. Now I wonder if that's because he knows that he Radman's been
He's been checking
Rob's
into
been
him a
checking
lot
into
with
him
some
a
of
lot.
those hands. But again, he's only seen the hands when he checks behind and it's like, whoa, you checked
Yeah,
that
exactly.
big value into me. But
Mhm.
you got to think Rob's also checking some low value hands there too. So
Mhm.
this one could be interesting too. Poker Geek flops top pair. Rob man has the nut flush draw and drills the nut flush on the turn. Snap checks back on the turn too. For sure.
Wow.
Ooh, Poker Geek goes for a half pot river bet. Rob's
Oh,
going all
pet
in.
bet. Pet bet's not liking that one. Half pot bet. Uh-oh.
Half pot. Rob raises all in, or a big sizing, and Poker Geek forced to fold there, and now is just dinged. Poker Geek's got 2K in chips.
Yeah.
With these blind levels,
sure.
that's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to come back from.
This could be the glory tour for Rob. Just
that's
waiting
a good
until
fold,
he can finish it off.
Still to be able to fold there on the river with ace with a pair of aces. That's a really some players aren't capable. Some players aren't capable of doing that and saying oh, I've got a pair. Like he can't have a flush. Like I can't fold.
But when Rob is raising into you on the river with a 4 flush board, spoiler, he's got a flush.
He's got a flush. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think John knew that and correctly got out of the way.
Yeah. Do you like John's bet on the river with a6 there? Do you think you can?
Not particularly. I think I'd rather let my opponent potentially bluff into me, and just kind of. I'm gonna have to make a tough decision on the river.
Either way,
but I'd rather make the tough decision than potentially get bluffed off a hand. This could be a turnaround for Poker Geek here. Ace King versus Queen Deuce. Poker Geek's got the Queen Deuce and just flop top pair. Never mind, the rivered ace is going to seal this for Rob if Poker Geek puts the chips in. Rob calls it off, and we've got our second winner of the night. Wow. Rob closes it out with a
very
rivered
nice
ace.
Rob.
Wow.
That's awesome. Good job, Rob. Good games. Great. Well played by both players.
Wow. I don't know if you saw it, but Pet Vet just gave you a shout out for shouting her out on not liking the half pot bet. Yeah. What a few matches that was. That was awesome. That was. I wasn't sure what to expect with how these were all going to play out. Just in terms of like, is stuff going to be over instantly? Like, how much jockeying back and forth are we going to see? But Rob takes it down. Kind of going spoiler 2 times in a row. Chad McVean being a third of the winner picks, getting knocked out right away. John Somsky being tied for second for most winner picks, being knocked out right away. We've kind of had 2 upsets right away to start off MaREC Madness. But we started this off. We said this was what's going to happen. We had so many winner picks from that left side of the bracket. We were going to have someone lose.
For sure, yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
Man.
Yeah.
But
surprising to see the 2, like you say, the 2 big bracket picks just out right away. So. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting.
I'm just trying to think of a few hands. There was, I think they both played fairly well. There was a few hands I think I would have liked to seen maybe Rob get a little bit more involved there. I definitely like the 3 bets with the 4s, like mixing in some 3 bets there. Overall, I think it played pretty much how we expected it to go. I think like very even the whole way through. Like they were. They were.
That was a fun matchup to watch. I did enjoy it. It didn't let me down. It obviously it would have been a little bit more like entertaining, crazy to see some like big bets or big bluffs coming in. But I didn't expect to see that too much out of these 2 players. So
no, me neither. And I knew it was going to be, like I say, we knew it was going to be like a lot of that little small ball stuff. I kind of maybe thought more from Chad and them, but I knew that Chris had a lot of a lot of big barrels in him and stuff. So
two matches that kind of followed the same story arc. If you think about how it played out, like, hey, one person got off to a lead and was like, trying to apply some pressure and try and like, let's try and end this quick type of thing, but couldn't. And rightfully so. That's how poker goes. You're gonna have those back and forths, and I don't know if it mentally played out in their heads that way, where they're like, hey, I've got this lead, and then they lose it, and it's more detrimental than just starting off with losing the lead and then clawing your way back from it. So maybe there's a little bit of mental going on, but we definitely saw some huge hands in that second one. I think of the Trip Jacks one. That one.
The Trip Jacks, that was huge.
If that doesn't happen, Rob doesn't come back, right? Like that was a huge flip to get him right back to even, essentially. You flip those hands around, the thing's over in 10 minutes. But great for Rob to have that spot, be able to get the value that he did. then a couple other hands that kind of stuck out to me. Which was it? It was the Rivered Straight with the check back from Poker Geek. I know he lost the hand.
That was a really good check on the river. It was crazy. I was like, and it was quick too. Like he didn't even. He didn't even go into his time bank at all. Like he didn't even think about betting, and just. I think Rob was checking back a lot of those. Like he was doing a good job of mixing those checks in, where he would have some checks.
He had a lot of check to induces going on tonight. Which next matchup will be Rob versus Chris, these two winners that we saw. We won't see it next week. We'll see it 2 weeks from tonight. But it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out too, because Rob does like to check to induce, and Chris does also like to take the opportunities when check to try and take down the pot. We saw it versus Chad today. Like there was a spot where Chad, I think he had like an ace high type of hand, but Chris turns a gut shot straight draw and decides to turn that hand into a bluff. Like kind of flip the tables here. Rob's checking a little bit more value and a little strong value hands, and if Chris is going to take that action, we could see some big hands.
Big hands, yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But yeah, well played to both of them. Rob did a great job of, keeping his head in the game, fighting the whole way through. I thought John played really well too. This was a really fun matchup to watch, but congrats to Rob. He is the second person to advance to the Final Four on just night one of MaREC Madness.
Yeah, this is great. We got all the technical kinks worked out, so hopefully next week we'll just be smooth as can be.
I'm gonna mute that part out because I guarantee there'll be some hiccups, some things going wrong. The Canadian internet will go out potentially. Actually, no, that won't be an issue because we don't have any Canadian internet to deal with next week. Surprisingly enough, the people that we have signed up for commentary next week are the two winners that we just saw tonight. So Chris is going to be joining,
and they have to play each other too.
And they have to play each other the week following. I'm
gonna definitely watch next. I could definitely watch.
Go in the chat and be like, "Hey, what would you do in this spot?" Your commentary, you have to answer and get them to talk to each other back and forth.
Well, then it'll be really interesting when they go to play each other, because not only will they have sat in the booth with each other, right, and then they have to play each other. That's going to be really interesting. Yeah,
guards up, but also trying to help out with the broadcast of everything.
Yeah,
so
should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be great.
Radman is a Vegas pro now.
Look at him go. He just he's winning heads up tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be it for what we have tonight. But that doesn't mean MaREC Madness is over. We've got another week coming up. Next week we're going to do the other half of the bracket, those first round matchups. We'll start off. Your podcast host, everyone's favorite, Steve Fredlin, is going to be facing off against our Learning with Partners correspondent, Andrew Feist. So good matchup there. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then the second matchup is going to be my favorite player, me. All jokes aside, the best looking player in the Rec Poker crew as well. No, I'll stop with the jokes.
Well,
I swear.
I was going to say, the picture that Chad has for you for the Facebook post that he puts up every Thursday has got to be like the top 10 picture. It's like you with your big earphones on and like the goofiest grin ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
I made that picture for one thing, and it was supposed to be like somewhat of a comical joke, and now he's just using it. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, find something else.
And then there's the other one that you posted where it's like you got your glasses on, you're all like serious, and you're like shuffling chips at the table.
Yeah, that was a big tournament that I played at Running Aces a year and a half ago. $500 buy-in, and fun. Both Chris and I final tabled that tournament.
Nice.
I think he went out like 9th and I got 4th, so that was a really fun tournament to play in. But my Twitter profile pic as well, so maybe we'll get a more Twitch appropriate, like just like the screen grab or something at some point. But
definitely.
Yeah, but I'm facing off against probably the least known part of the Rec Poker crew, our website friend, Website Mark. So it'll be me against him. And yeah, good luck to me. But it'll be the same time, same place. We always do Twitch Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll start up at about the same time. We'll kind of go through similar process and hopefully have less hiccups to start off all this stuff. But it should be fun. Captain Walleye just joined in and he said, "Hey, I'm just logging in. Who won tonight?" Quick recap. Chad McVean faced off against Chris 5x5 Jones, and with our predictions, this was the most contested first round matchup we could have. 33% picked McVean to win the whole tournament. Chris tied with John Somsky for second most in terms of predictions to win it all. Chad got off to a hot start, but Chris caught back up and won the matchup. So Chris advanced to the next round. Then in the second round, we had the second most that I just mentioned, John Somsky, second most picks to win it all, face off against Rob. And similar story arc. John got off to a hot lead but couldn't hold it, and Rob took it off and is going to advance to the second round. So congratulations to Chris and Rob. Feel free to tune in next week and congratulate both of them because they'll be in the commentary booth, but we'll be doing it same time, same place. Hopefully everyone can tune in. That's all I have. I just wanted to say one last thing before we sign off here, and that's thank you, Ben. Thank you for joining me in the booth. Thanks for talking through all these things. Thanks for working through this internet trouble.
No worries. It was more on my end than yours, so there wasn't much you could do about it. So I definitely appreciate, like I say, the opportunity to come on and just be a part of Rec Poker and be a part of the community and stuff has been really awesome the last few months. So I definitely appreciate it.
Been great to have you. Yeah. And I won't say it was all your fault too. I was filtering out your audio inadvertently and keeping you muted to start the whole thing. So yeah, it was a little bit of both, but hopefully you can work through all those kinks for next week. But yeah, thanks Ben for joining us. Like I said, next week, same time, same place. Hopefully you can tune in. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Good luck in your brackets. Hopefully you picked Chris and not Chad, and hopefully you picked Rob and not John. But as long as your winner pick is still alive, you're probably still alive in the contest. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.